The scary cryptic opening served to weird me out rather than scare me, but it turns out that was just the warm-up compared to what I saw next. The character select screen, where you choose between Terra, Ventus, and Aqua in the actual game, comes up. The music normally heard in this little sequence is distorted, practically demonic with its low pitch and treble. Instead of the typical scene, the awakening floor where the three usually stand and cracked into 3 pieces, each of the 3 on their own piece. The background surrounding the awakening is a purplish hue instead of the normally serene black. I then see Terra, Ventus, and Aqua, but I see the 3 impaled on what looks like spikes of darkness jutting out from the cracks in the awakening, the spikes piercing through their bodies and coming out their chests in a very graphic manner. From what I could see, blood was dripping from the corpses impaled on the spikes onto the pieces they were on, the blood then falling into the bottomless abyss below. My eyes open wide in half fear, half disgust. Since when does Kingdom Hearts have blood? But another more unnerving question, since when does Kingdom Hearts contain the sprites for blood in the first place? The option to select them comes up. Their picture logos show their eyes dripping of blood, while their skin is pale gray. I scare real easy, so I begin to breathe heavily. Whoever hacked this had a very sick mind. While trying to keep my cool, I try to select Aqua in an effort to test for some degree of normality. Like I expected, a message came up. A victim of the void. I tried Terra and Ventus, 2 more messages. For Terra, the builder of the cradle. For Ventus, the wind pushing the cradle. The nursery rhyme messages served only to scare me more. Nowadays, whenever somebody hears a nursery rhyme, it's usually in a horror movie, and it always signifies trouble. I move to what appears to be a 4th option. The scene zooms in on what appears to be a total shadow, their figure obscured from view. The shadow in question looks like it's using Terra's sprite model, but their body, face, and features are all black, as if it's trying to hide itself. Think like the anti-Sora from Kingdom Hearts 2, only with no color whatsoever. I select its option and another message comes up. The wind is blowing continuously. Can you balance the cradle? A choice came up. This must be part of the warning. With a very deep inhale, I choose yes. A light shines on the figure as a deafening screech fills my ears, the scene zooming past the figure's face and into a loading screen. I don't know what that was, and this was just the beginning. I move the figure to the left of the world map. At that moment, I find myself at the world map in the game. This was hacked too. The purple pinkish backgrounds usually present were now pitch black, and I could almost swear sprites resembling eyes were put there, watching the map through the background textures. You know, where if you could go to the edge of the map and you are pushed back? Those textures. The music that plays is like The Awakening, low-pitched and demonic. I seem to be in control of the figure shown in the select screen. His key glider sprite wasn't spared modification either. The figure seems to be riding what appears to be a bloody object. It looked like a cross to me at first, but once I moved a little, I saw what looked like wings flapping. I chose to ignore this and look around. I moved the figure to the left of the world map, where the Princess of Heart worlds were. The Mirage Arena was gone, instead replaced with what was made to look like a human eye. It looked bloodshot, and it kept itself trained on the figure whenever I moved it, as if it were poised to strike or something. My breathing became worse. What did this all mean? I didn't risk going near it and moved the figure downwards. The Princess World's Enchanted Dominion, Castle of Dreams, and Dwarf Woodlands were all glitched, their structures replaced with random binary data formed into the shape of the worlds themselves. I tried going near the Enchanted Dominion, but the figure was pushed away the moment I had gotten close enough, as if I had touched a barrier. These worlds were disabled, obviously. I moved the figure away from this area and went to the other side of the map. Deep Space, Neverland, Disney Town, and Olympus Coliseum were glitched up in the same way, and were also inaccessible. I moved to the southern part of the map. The mysterious tower and the land of departure weren't even there. The only familiar world I saw was the Destiny Islands. I cautiously moved the figure towards that world. At that moment, a landing prompt came up. In the normal game, you can't land on the Destiny Islands. I honestly wanted to put the game down right now and just forget about all I've seen. But something inside me urged on, almost as if somebody else were telling me to keep playing. I chose visit this world from the landing prompt. This time, the game just faded to a black screen like always, and a loading screen popped up. I had calmed down a bit, but that comfort didn't last long. Once it loaded, I found the figure I was playing as standing by a wooden door on the island's right side, his features still hidden despite the sunshine in the world's sky. I was stunned. Since when was this world playable? As I examined the textures, they seemed off. The normal wooden textures that made the Destiny Islands look tropical seemingly bled around in the other textures of the world, giving the place a distorted look. There was no music, though I thought I heard sobbing in the distance. The figure begins to walk forward, beyond my control. I try to get him to stop, but I can't. So, I sit and wait. The figure walks to the shore of the beach just as two boys come running into the area. I soon see that they are Sora and Riku. They're young selves just like in the original game. They were hacked too. Their clothes were bloody as if they had just come out of a desperate struggle. One of Riku's eyes was missing, an empty socket in the place of his left eye. Sora suffered from the same affliction, only with his right eye. The eyes that were working had bloody tears dripping from them, just like the pictures in the character select screen. Their flesh looked mangled, almost zombie-like. The two immediately take out wooden swords and end their battle poses, intending to engage the figure in combat. Sora says something angrily, but all I hear is static and glitch sounds. And subtitles seem disabled, so I couldn't understand him at all. At this point, I was simply speechless. I didn't know what this meant, nor did I want to know, but I had to keep playing. I had to know what it was trying to tell me, or it would haunt me forever. The scene then zoomed in on the figure's back. The figure extends his right arm as a keyblade appears in his hand. With an insane chuckle, he finally turns around to face the camera. At that moment, the black color covering his features started to melt off of his body, bleeding into the textures on the islands, distorting them further. I knew who it was now. It was Xehanort in Terra's body, just like in the original game. In reality, it was Terra, just with his eyes turned yellow and his hair turned white, but I knew who this was supposed to be. The keyblade in the figure's hand turns out to be Xehanort's as well. Another dead giveaway as to the figure's identity. Another loading screen went by. Then the scene moved to the figure's back, as an information bar showing your current objective hovered over the screen. And I couldn't believe what it said. Kill them. At this point, I practically shat a brick. This was some freaky shit. As soon as I was in control of Xehanort, I noticed a few things. First off, the mugshot in the HP bar wasn't there, just like in the save file. Secondly, there was no D-Link or shot lock gauge for Xehanort's to use. There was also no music playing in the background, just sobbing that seemed to grow louder with each passing minute. Finally, I had paused the game and saw one of the most haunting images I've ever seen in my life. On the pause screen was an image of a real-life man being torn in half by an odd-looking machine, his blood spattering all over the camera that took the photo. His face was contorted in agony, as the intestines that were falling out were visible in clear detail. The image was so realistic. It obviously wasn't part of the game. I literally screamed bloody murder, throwing up where I was sitting the moment I saw it. What kind of asshole would put out filthy shit like that? In an effort to calm myself, I took in a deep breath. I had seen some stuff that was not going to be leaving my mind anytime soon. It was too late to turn back. I had to know why all of this was made. I unpaused the game to find myself playing as Xehanort again. Sora and Riku began to advance. I had Xehanort running up to Sora, attacking him with a normal 3-hit combo. Xehanort played just like Terra, so I knew his strengths and weaknesses. Sora could barely fight, so he was no challenge. I noticed that as I attacked Sora, the sky started changing color. Once I had depleted Sora's HP to 0, the sky was blood red. The scene zooms in for a reaction sequence. Sora tries to attack one last time, but as he jumps into the air to attack from above, Xehanort aims his hand at Sora, the game prompting me to constantly press X. I do so to see Xehanort's hand charging up with dark energies. The prompt disappears as Xehanort releases a spike of darkness that stabs Sora through his chest and out of his other side. The scene zooms in on Sora's face as he says, "The bow is breaking, Andrew. Are you strong enough?" I was sweating now. How did Sora know my name? How did the hacker know my name? At that moment, Sora's body explodes into a shower of red as his blood and entrails fall into the sand. Xehanort turns to engage Riku. Riku stops short and exits out of combat stance. He looks at Xehanort with what seemed to be pity. Then he turns and looks at me directly. "The cradle will fall and deteriorate everything," Riku says to me. "All you know will cease to exist, and so will you." My hands were literally shaking now. I was starting to get the feeling that this was no hack at all. It was something worse. "But don't worry," Riku says as he turns his wooden sword upon himself, preparing to stab. Riku does so as the sword runs him through, blood gushing from his body as he falls to his knees. "You'll get a glimpse of the void before you fall." With a death moan, Riku finally lands on the sands of Destiny Islands, lifelessly.